U.S. and Israel move on Iran, while Carney says he supports the action. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
All the news you need to know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence. He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you.
That's Pete Hegseth, the United States Secretary of Defense. It's just after 8:30 p.m. in Tehran right now, and it's the third day of a joint U.S.-Israel attack on Iran. The action, which started Saturday, has now seen targets hit across the Middle East. The highest profile casualty has been Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And today, Iran and its proxies fired missiles at Israel and Arab targets. As well, a drone boat hit an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. Saudi Aramco temporarily shut down an oil refinery after it was targeted by Iranian drones. And Israeli and U.S. forces continue to strike targets in Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump told ABC News the war in Iran could last 4 to 5 weeks. In a video statement, Trump said the United States had a duty and an obligation to carry out this action in Iran.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats.
Speaking in Mumbai during his trip to India, Prime Minister Mark Carney expressed support for the U.S. action in Iran, calling Iran the principal source of terror in the Middle East.
Canada's position on the developments in the Middle East remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East. It has one of the world's worst human rights records and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. Canada and our international partners have called consistently upon the Iranian regime to end its nuclear program, including at the G7 summit in Kananaskis and with the United Nations reimposition of sanctions this past September. We've sanctioned over 250 Iranian entities. We've listed the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity. And despite numerous diplomatic efforts, Iran has neither fully dismantled its nuclear program, halted all enrichment activities, nor ended its support for regional terrorist proxy groups. Canada stands with the Iranian people in their long and courageous struggle against this oppressive regime, and we reaffirm Israel's right to defend itself. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. And the Canadian government urges the protection of all civilians in this conflict.
As expected, oil prices are up about 5.5% right now to $70.78 U.S. a barrel. Stock markets are mixed, and gold prices are higher. And in cities around the world, Iranians are celebrating the demise of Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei. City News correspondent Lauren Boothby was at one such rally in Edmonton.
It's not that we celebrate death and it's not that we promote violence, but the death of Khamenei that happened yesterday, it was a relief because he was ordering a lot of death on people who are just protesting for their basic life, basic needs in their lives.
The news especially meaningful for Masoud Saidiniya, 6 years after his son Amir Hussein was one of 176 people killed, including 55 Canadians and 30 permanent residents in Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752, shot down by the Iranian regime.
I didn't make justice in court, but now when they killed Khamenei, I think it's justice, yeah.
And after thousands of civilians killed in recent protests.
Love him who had two girls, two small girls. He was very worried about his girls. I never forget him. And all over there, this person, this one. These are all my son. I love all of them.
And in Richmond Hill, Ontario, north of Toronto, City News correspondent David Zura spoke with others, hoping that this marks a turning point in Iran.
We call this regime a regime that occupied Iran. It's not really even a simple dictator. They just occupied Iran and they're killing the Iranian people.
Adding he's confident the people of Iran will use this as an opportunity for regime change.
100%. What the regime did more than a month ago, killing 40,000 people, just doing protests, is something that is kind of guaranteed a situation for ending the regime by the people.
A sentiment being echoed by people participating in the march.
I believe that we will change the regime. We are so brave. We will do so, and then we will get the power back.
We need help internationally to weaken the pillars. And from that moment onwards, the people of Iran will definitely know what they have to do.
They've been massacring and destroying our country for almost 50 years, and we're happy. We're happy that the Western governments are now supporting us, even with their military.
Like 50 years ago, when you look at it right now, it seems like we're looking at our dreams. Like, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted, and that's what we wanted to get to. But then Iran got held hostage, and it's been 47 years right now.
The death toll is growing on all sides. The Iranian Red Crescent Society says so far the operation has killed more than 500 people there. In Israel, where several locations were hit by Iranian missiles, 11 people have died. And so far, 4 U.S. service members have been killed, with Donald Trump saying there will likely be more. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
In India, there's a deal, and more deals could be on the way. Prime Minister Mark Carney met with the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, with Mr. Carney calling it an expansion, not a renewal of a partnership.
This is not merely the renewal of a relationship. It is the expansion of a valued partnership with new ambition, focus, and foresight, a partnership between two confident countries charting our own course for the future.
Among the announcements coming out of this leg of the Prime Minister's most recent trip overseas is a $2.6 billion deal to supply Canadian uranium to India. That was one of 10 such agreements signed that could be worth more than $5 billion to Canada. And the two sides have launched talks aimed at achieving a comprehensive free trade agreement. Prime Minister Carney touted Canada's ability to provide India with much of what it needs: LNG, critical minerals, and nuclear power resources such as uranium.
India is a country whose demand growth for energy is projected to double by 2040. And to meet that demand sustainably, India plans to increase its renewable capacity by 500 gigawatts by the end of this decade, and to almost double the share of LNG in its primary energy mix over the same period. Canada is well positioned to contribute as a reliable supplier of the world's lowest carbon, responsibly produced LNG from our west coast. As India seeks access to critical minerals for its manufacturing, its clean tech, and its nuclear plans, Canada's resource base and world-leading companies position it as a strategic partner. As one example, the nuclear agreement, the uranium agreement signed today. As another, the fact that 40% of the world's mining companies are listed in Canada.
Through a translator, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised Prime Minister Carney, saying he's given the India-Canada relationship new energy.
From our very first meeting itself, there has been a new energy, mutual trust, and positivity in our relations. I give the entire credit for this increasing momentum in every area of cooperation to my friend, Prime Minister Carney. Friends, India and Canada firmly believe in democratic values. We celebrate diversity. Welfare of humanity is our shared vision. And it is this very vision that inspires us to move ahead in every area.
Prime Minister Carney is sounding much different than his predecessor, Justin Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau once stood in the House of Commons and accused agents of the Indian government of being behind the murder of a Sikh activist in Canada. Diplomats in both countries were expelled over those allegations. Neither leader took questions from news reporters today, but Prime Minister Carney told an Indian interviewer at a business event that he wants to repair the relationship with India and re-engage because of the uncertainty of the global situation right now.
One is an engagement on both sides with good faith and energy on the security side to work more closely together on the security side, and that has been followed up consistently with the ministers of foreign affairs, but also our national security advisors, our security, various security departments. So that pillar's there. And then probably what is of direct interest to this room is that in parallel to that, a quick realization of the scale of the economic partnership opportunities that have only been reinforced in recent months by the more apparent rupture in the nature of the global economy.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, where integration being weaponized and the value of having a broader range of connections, particularly in strategic sectors, that gives autonomy back to countries.
Just ahead of this visit, the government said it no longer views India as a national security threat, a claim that many viewed with skepticism. Speaking in New Delhi, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said she brought up certain security issues with her counterpart while in India.
We will continue to cooperate on national security and law enforcement. We've outlawed or listed the Bishnoi gang, as I've mentioned to you. We have a number of pieces of legislation, including on extortion. We are going to continue to ensure that we are addressing all instances of foreign interference and transnational repression. But on the subject matter of your question, which relates to RCMP work and investigations, because we are a country of the rule of law, political figures do not get involved in RCMP investigations, data collection, trials, and judicial processes.
Prime Minister Carney is now on his way to Australia. While there, he will meet with the Australian Prime Minister. And from there, Mr. Carney will go to Japan. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
If you're ever looking for a podcast of our show, Now You Know with Rob Snow, there's a great new mobile app that will help you hear our show when you want to. You can listen live, listen to the podcast. It's called the Seeker app, spelled Seekr. All kinds of exclusive audio there that you won't hear anywhere else. News, music, and sports. You can download Seeker for iOS or Android. Seeker spelled Seekr. And Now You Know with Rob Snow is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And there's some new podcasts out there that I would recommend, like Big Headlines, an offshoot of the Big Story podcast. All your headlines in 5 minutes. Or if you're a fan of the true crime genre, Phil Martino and Madison Fitzpatrick bring you Tracking a Killer, the Cold Case Files. The Iran situation is the dominant factor, of course, in financial markets today. Stock markets are actually mixed. They were deep in the red to start the session, but creeping higher as we make our way through the day. The Toronto stock market is actually higher, not by much, about 0.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is pretty much unchanged for the day. The NASDAQ is up, about 100 points so far. The big story in the oil market is that oil prices are up 5% today. Earlier, when trading resumed for the first time on Friday, they were up about 9% in the $73 US a barrel range. Now around $70.50 US, but still a jump of about 5% on the day. There are concerns, obviously, about disruptions in the global oil and gas supply and the key shipping route in the region, the Strait of Hormuz. Natural gas prices higher as well, and gold prices are up as the safe haven asset climbs back above $5,300 US an ounce. Lots of worries about what this could mean for the economy and higher energy prices and how that could impact a soft economy. Of course, higher oil prices could mean higher gas prices, could fuel inflation. Higher inflation could mean higher interest rates, although bond yields, which would be an indicator of higher interest rates, are up, but not all that significantly on the day. Speaking of gas prices, they creeped higher last week and have more or less remained steady. In Halifax, drivers are averaging about $1.38.8 a liter. It's about the same in the National Capital Region where I am in Ottawa. Kitchener is closer to $1.36. In Calgary, closer to $1.28 a liter. And out in Vancouver, 170.9 in Vancouver. Coming up right after the news at the bottom of the hour. First of all, we'll bring you right up to date. U.S. President Donald Trump made some remarks today at an event, his first public remarks in front of an audience, in front of news reporters, since all of this started with Iran and the U.S.-Israel attacks on Iran on Saturday. So bring you up to date on the latest remarks from the U.S. president. And then we will talk about the Canadian political implications of all of this, with Prime Minister Carney coming out and supporting this action. But as well, the Prime Minister did make his trip to India, renewing and expanding ties with India, signing deals with India. And the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, he's not in the country either. He is actually in London. He is in the UK, and then he'll later travel to Germany. So we'll talk about that too. All ahead on Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio. It's time for our Monday Newsday political panel. We are joined by Matthew Dube. He is Vice President at Proof Strategies, former NDP MP. Good to hear from you. Matthew, welcome back.
Thank you.
And Jordan Paquet is Vice President, Bluesky Strategy Group. Welcome back, Jordan. Good to hear from you.
Thanks, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Well, historic events over the weekend and unfolding today with the joint U.S.-Israel attacks on Iran, the killing of Khamenei. The Prime Minister supports this action. Matthew, what do you think about that position?
Well, listen, it's a tough issue, right? Because I definitely appreciate, and frankly, I know people personally who fled, 37, 40 years ago when all this was going down during the revolution. So I appreciate that for a lot of people. The fact that these actions have led to the death of the Ayatollah is something that a lot of people are celebrating, and you can empathize with that. But I think the challenge for the Prime Minister is from a Canadian standpoint, is hitching your wagon to a train that doesn't seem to know which track it's on and if it's going to derail or not. I mean, this morning you had Pete Hegseth doing his press conference, not really giving any indication of what the timelines to this are, what's the plan. It's supposedly not regime change. what does that regime look like? It could easily be worse than what's being left behind, and there's historical precedent in a variety of places for that. So I think, it's the consequence that we've seen from American interventionism throughout the years, and now it's happening with a president who seems to do it with impunity. There's seemingly no consequences for him domestically. Congress is quite mute, if not neutered, on these issues these days. So, I mean, it's a big gamble, and I think the domestic audience is going to wonder what the Davos speech was all about. There was a lot of back and forth online over the weekend, with academics saying, well, if you think that the Davos speech meant he was going to denounce Trump, you misunderstood. But that's not really where Canadians are at. It's not a political science course. It's politics, right? And so I think that there's a big risk here that this kind of gives the impression that that was for naught and that people aren't necessarily picking up whatever realist subtleties there might have been. So I understand in the moment why it maybe makes sense, but proceed with caution would be the name of the game here.
All right. Proceed with caution. What do you think? Jordan, Prime Minister Carney supporting the U.S.-Israel action in Iran. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it is an evolving situation. We have no idea what this is going to look like even a couple days from now. But I'll admit that this is a very refreshingly clear position from the Canadian government and the Prime Minister. I'm sure putting out that statement on the weekend that the Prime Minister did was under some strenuous objections from some certain people in the Pearson Building for the Global Affairs headquarters here in Ottawa. But we have to remember in these situations who our allies are. And despite a lot of the issues over the last year with President Trump, we're still best allies with the U.S., with Israel. And part of the Prime Minister's speech in Davos was about that realism and how we have to see the world as it is and not as we hope it would be. So organizations like the UN these days aren't as effective anymore in doing some of the work that they've done. Countries are just ignoring international law and acting in their best interests, and nobody's playing by that same set of rules, including places like China that we want to do business with. So looking closer to home, I think it's clear the Prime Minister is trying to find more of an audience with President Trump on this issue as well, because 3/4 of our trade is still relying on the U.S. His way of doing business, Trump's way, is very performative. Who's been with me? Who's been against me? And he'll often sort of make deals or not based on things like that. So I'm not saying Canada has to abandon any type of principled foreign policy on this and just do it because of U.S. trade. But I certainly think recognizing who our allies are, who are the bad guys in this situation, and that's clear it's the Iranian regime. We've designated the group IRGC as terrorists. Have sanctioned the government, have expelled their diplomats. So I just think we have to remember whose side we are, and I think it was clear this weekend that the Prime Minister was able to do that.
Okay, what about that, Matthew? This pragmatism from the Prime Minister on foreign issues. Jordan mentioned that line: "We take the world as it is, not as we wish it to be." What about that? This is pragmatism in action for Mr. Carney.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the sentiment, but I get like governments are people are elected to lead, right? And I think that if you're just going to kind of follow wherever things are going and just dealing with whatever hand you're dealt, at some point you also have to stand up for what you think is right. And I appreciate this whole notion of whose side we're on or not on, but I also think that Canada has a responsibility in the world to be a voice of reason on these issues, right? At the end of the day, again, as I mentioned a moment ago, like there are serious consequences to what the American administration is doing, never mind the human lives that are lost as a result of it, right? So again, it's appreciate that, the regime in place in Iran, how evil it was and the way people feel about that. But I also think we need to look at, what's actually happening here. The government, the U.S. administration said that that's not their intention. They don't even seem to know what their intention is. So how do you act with realism when you're dealing with irrational actors who don't seem to know what their plan is, and when there's a very real human cost to it? And I think that that's something that Canadians are sensitive to, and I think it's why there's been so much, and I think Canadians are smart enough to distinguish between how we feel about President Trump and his administration and Americans more generally. And frankly, Americans themselves, are in disagreement with this course of action. It's not even what President Trump was elected on. So Appreciate the sentiment. I'm not really sure if that's what's at play here. And ultimately, the government has responsibilities that it has to take on.
Okay. We'll be right back. We'll pick up on this, and then we'll pivot to India and the Prime Minister's trip to India. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
It's our Monday Newsday political panel with Matthew Dube, Vice President, Proof Strategies, former NDP MP. Jordan Paquet is Vice President of Bluesky Strategy Group with a long history of working on Parliament Hill with Conservative cabinet ministers. And you know, Jordan, for example, Prime Minister Harper's support for the war in Iraq, he never lived that down. I just wonder, with the Prime Minister's statement supporting this action in Iran, are these words he will come to regret? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think this situation is quite a bit different than Iraq. When we were looking at Iraq, there was that was troops on the ground, boots on the ground, with the sole focus of regime change. This is more of a strategic military operation, bombing exercise that the Trump administration has done before. So I see this as a little bit different. Where I think it could start to trip him up a bit is if there's rifts in the caucus on this. We've seen rifts emerge. I know we're going to talk about India soon, but we've started to see some rifts in the Liberal caucus emerging on some of these issues. So if it starts to raise some dissent within caucus on some members who feel that we should certainly be posing any U.S. action in countries like this, I feel that could come back to haunt him a bit. But as far as generally, I don't see it as the same as the Iraq situation.
Okay, let's move along to the trip to India. $2.6 billion agreement on uranium. The goal of a comprehensive free trade deal with India. Still concerns, though, about the Modi government targeting, for example, Sikh activists in Canada, foreign interference, election interference, and even organized crime like extortion, the extortion problem in Canada. What do you think of, he called it an expansion of a partnership, not necessarily a renewal of a relationship, that the relationship has always been there. They've always been partners, and he wants to expand on it. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, look, I'm always for diplomacy, conversation. The trade diversification file is an important one. So I think these things are all laudable, but there's a big, elephant in the room when it comes to the allegations that have been made of that, you just mentioned, of some pretty serious crimes being committed in Canada against Canadians and some pretty violent ones as well. And so it kind of feels like that's all been swept under the rug. And I think that's the larger problem here. I don't think anyone is necessarily fully against what's happening here, but I think it's the seeming lack of accountability, both for the Indian government and also for the Prime Minister. I mean, this morning I saw some reporters, I believe from the Globe and Mail, who were noting that the Prime Minister hasn't taken questions since last Wednesday. And in the meantime, we've sort of had unnamed officials come out and repudiate the initial accusations towards India, basically saying it never happened, they weren't behind it and all that. And there's no opportunity to sort of follow up for the media and for others to better understand what's going on. I mean, you can say what you want about Prime Minister Trudeau, or former Prime Minister Trudeau, but at the end of the day, you don't come out and say something like that and have the RCMP make similar comments. It's one of those if there's smoke, there's fire type of things. They wouldn't make that kind of accusation baselessly. So I think the Prime Minister, I appreciate you can't slam the door, especially in these times. But I also think that, there needs to be a little more accountability and transparency here about where that all stands.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at the lack of a media availability. He made a speech. He did a question and answer session with somebody in India. He had his one-on-one closing news event with Prime Minister Modi, but he never took reporters' questions. Very strange for such an important trip, Jordan. What do you think?
Absolutely. And not only that, he canceled a press conference that was scheduled. After the press conference, there was one that was to be scheduled. He was supposed to come out and answer questions, but they made up something that at the flight crew, they couldn't push the flight back. To me, that doesn't hold water. I've been on these trips. I've helped run the media side of things on these types of trips previously. And if the Prime Minister wants to stick around and answer questions, he certainly can. He can answer them on the plane. There's ways to get him in front of reporters, but it's very clear he didn't want to. Look, we need a diversified trade, and India becoming quickly the third biggest economy, it's natural we want to gain access to it. But also there's the domestic issues here at play. He can't go in that territory then after signing these deals with India and saying, sorry, one second. And saying, I'm sorry, I was interrupted for 1 second. And saying that he wants to make these deals, but then have these issues with extortion still at home. That's going to cause issues in his own caucus, and it's currently causing issues in his cabinet. There was Ruby Sahota, his Secretary of State for Combating Crime, actually came out and disagreed with what that official said. So clearly there's an issue that's happening here, and he didn't want this to bubble up when he was in India.
Okay. Let's turn our attention to the Conservative leader now. Pierre Poilievre is in London, and later he's going to travel to Germany. Jordan, why is he making these trips, and what do you think he'll say? What's the point?
Yeah, I think he's building on his Economic Club speech from last week, looking to project more of that statesman image. You know, Canadians want to vote for somebody they can picture as a PM, both in tone and substance. And so I believe that's what Pierre's delivering. The speech received wide praise last week for its tone and its substance. And this will allow him to follow up on that. I mean, the House isn't sitting this week, so it allows him to project more of that statesman-like image, trying to shed off some of those more prickly points that people have pointed out in the past, and be able to go out and give some keynote speeches in different environments with MPs in the UK, with financial people in Germany as well. So this will project a broader, pragmatic conservatism that exists around the world, and not some of the more extremist elements that we see sometimes here in North America. So I think those are some of the elements for sure.
Okay, we'll be right back. Ask Matthew about that. And are we seeing a new Pierre Poilievre, a kinder, gentler, warmer, fuzzier, cuddlier Pierre Poilievre than we have in the past? When we return to our Newsday panel, this is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Matthew Dube and Jordan Paquet, our political panelists today. To start the week, Pierre Poilievre in the UK, off to Germany. First of all, what do you think about those trips from Mr. Poilievre? What do you think is up there, Matthew?
Well, I think he's doing the right thing. It's the kind of image that you want to project, given what Canadians are looking for in their leaders in these times, as we're wont to say. But I wonder if it's too little, too late. You know, it's really hard to reverse the kind of negative numbers that Pierre Poilievre has, the unfavorable numbers. It's a huge challenge. You know, it's like in life, how many good deeds does it take to erase a bad deed? Polling is unfortunately often the same, or so it feels when you're in politics. So the right thing, does it come too late, too little, too late? We'll see. And the partisan in me has to chuckle a little bit at all the indignant conservative tweets about Mark Carney's trips over time. Now that the conservative leader is realizing that there's something to showing that statesman side. So a bit of amusement, but in all seriousness, it's something important, and time will tell if it lands the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, given the news cycle, how many people will notice that the Conservative Party leader from Canada is in the UK, or the Conservative Party leader from Canada is in Germany? It might make news back home. I guess that's the point, but I don't think too many people are going to take notice. What's interesting is, okay, who had Peter Mansbridge interviewing Pierre Poilievre on their bingo card? I didn't have that one, but he did it. He sat down with Peter Mansbridge and did an interview. Pierre Poilievre did. What do you think about that, Jordan?
Yeah, it's certainly a tone shift, and I think a strategic shift between whether it's the speech last week, the media engagements he's been doing, and strategy shift based on political reality. You know, when you're far ahead in the polls like they were last year, you're able to kind of be a little more careful, pick and choose sort of who you engage with. But I think he did say after the last election results came in that we have to grow the tent a bit more, that the Conservative Party has to grow the tent a bit more, grow its coalition of voters a bit more. And I feel like this is a reflection of that. So it's a good media relations strategy. I think they have some people in the opposition leaders' office that have been working hard on this. They want Pierre Poilievre to be seen as a prime minister in waiting and a team in waiting that's ready to take on. So by not talking to media, not talking to the mainstream outlets, you allow that void to be filled with others. Pierre's a great communicator. He can put across his thoughts well. He's a great debater. So being present in tough interview situations allows him to reach a wider audience and convince even more people on that side.
Interesting. You agree, Matthew? In a minute or less?
100%. I think I've never understood why he wasn't out more in the early days of his leadership. I mean, you could say what you want about the man. He knows his stuff. He's an effective communicator. Why not showcase that? Makes all the sense in the world to me.
Okay. Nice to hear from both of you. Thank you so much. We'll see what the week brings. It's only getting started. Great to hear from Matthew Dube, Vice President of Proof Strategies and former NDP MP in Quebec, and Jordan Paquet, he's Vice President of Bluesky Strategy Group. Talkback, first one of the week. What are we going to talk about? I think we'll have to talk about world events. Pretty earth-shaking world events happening. We need your take on it. 1-833-668-2577. And let's talk about what's been going on in Iran on Talkback today. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio. Welcome to Talk. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And today, Iran. We have some questions for you now that it's war in Iran. But think about it. The United States went into Venezuela, captured the dictator in Venezuela. He's in a New York City prison right now. The United States is squeezing Cuba with an embargo. It's hoping for a regime change there as well. And now Iran. Along with Israel, the United States has launched this massive attack on Iran. Targets in other countries in the region being hit as well, and the supreme leader of Iran is dead, the Ayatollah. It's been a remarkable weekend of events. And there are some in the news media over the last few days who say all of this is a great thing. It is a moral and a just cause, and the world is a better place now. And the people of Iran will be better off. There are others, though, who think this is a huge gamble, a giant risk. And because of the actions of Donald Trump, the world is a more dangerous place. Some in the commentary class actually suggest that Donald Trump is the most dangerous person in the world today. And that's a question we want to start with today on Talkback to start the week. If you think about the foreign policy decisions of Donald Trump, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, do you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? What would you say? Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. All of our phone lines are open right now. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney supports this action by the U.S. That's what he said while he was in India. Let me read the statement, some of the statement from the Prime Minister's office. Quote, Canada's position remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East, has one of the world's worst human rights records, and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. End quote. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. That is the position on this from the Canadian government, led, of course, by Prime Minister Mark Carney. And since that statement has been released, and since his remarks in India echoing that statement, Prime Minister Carney is being taken to task in some corners for his support of this U.S. action in Iran. Some people question that, think it's a mistake, that he is backing warmongers. that Mr. Carney should not have been so quick to support the Trump administration in this effort, and that the Prime Minister might even be backing action that could be contrary to international law. Others, though, see it as an extension of Mark Carney's own view on foreign affairs, largely seen as being driven by pragmatism and his line, "We take the world as it is, not as we want it to be. We take the world as it is, not as we want it to be." And the world right now is a world in which the United States wants change in Iran. Does it mean regime change? It wants change very clearly. And Canada wants a trade and security agreement with the United States. Maybe that's what the Prime Minister is thinking. What's in Canada's best interest right now? Would it be in Canada's best interest right now to speak out against this kind of action in Iran, or speak out in favor of it? Using a lot of the same sort of talking points that we do hear from the Trump administration. It has caught some people off guard just how soon and how forcefully he has supported this U.S. action in Iran. We'd like to know what you think about that. What do you think about Prime Minister Carney coming out in support of the Trump administration's actions in Iran? Do you agree with that stance, or do you disagree with it? 1-833-668-2577. So it's really a two-parter today for Talkback to start the week. Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? And do you agree or disagree with Prime Minister Carney's position on this U.S. action in Iran, with Prime Minister Carney saying he supports it? What do you think about that? Let's start there and see where the conversation takes us. President Trump has told the media this could all be over in 4 to 5 weeks. Okay. We'll see what Iran looks like 4 or 5 weeks from now. When the Americans went into Afghanistan after 9/11, U.S. forces remained in that country for the next 20 years. Americans were in a combat role in Iraq for more than a decade. After Gaddafi was ousted in Libya, there was a decade of civil war. Libya still doesn't have a truly functional national government. The civil war in Syria lasted almost 14 years. The man leading that country right now was once a member of Al-Qaeda. I'm sure we can all appreciate that how these things start has little to do with how they end. And as bad as one regime is, you never know what might replace it. What might replace it could be even worse. So let's talk about it. It's the first chance I've had to ask you about it. It is history in the making. The death of the Ayatollah. I was just a boy when the Iranian Revolution happened in 1979, but I certainly remember it being all over the news. At the time, the fall of the Shah, Americans taken hostage, Kenneth Taylor, the Argo story, they've been part of Canadian history about that period in time. So here we all are, all of these years later, decades later, almost 50 years later, and think of all the suffering Iranians have endured under this regime and the atrocities that it has carried out all over the world, either directly or through its proxies. And now it appears we are at another turning point, and much of it initiated by Donald Trump. So is Donald Trump making the world a safer place, a more dangerous place? And on Mark Carney, he says he supports this action. What do you think about that? Mark Carney supporting Trump's actions in Iran. 1-833-668-2577. That's our call-in line. If you've never called before, just mention that. We'll make your call a priority. And we hope to hear from you today. It's an important topic. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Iran, of course, is in focus today, but also Donald Trump's overall foreign policy. Do you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? Mark Carney says he supports Trump's actions in Iran. Do you agree with that stance from the Canadian Prime Minister? 1-833-668-2577. We start with Dave in Halifax. Thanks for calling, Dave. You're up first today.
Yes, thank you for taking my call, Rob. Carney's stock just went up tenfold in Trump's view and my view. I think reason is because, and certainly a better support than we're seeing from the UK, Germany, and France at the moment on this ongoing Iran situation that should have been dealt with years ago through the Obama and other administrations that paid off. We cannot, even Mark Carney stated in that statement, allow Iran to get the nuclear warhead that it was trying to achieve. We know that. They sloughed off, they delayed. Look, October 7th, folks, Hamas, and you've got Hezbollah, you've got ISIS, all sponsored by Iran. We lost a lot of Canadians' limbs in Afghanistan because of the IEDs that were put in the ground by Iran and Americans. They have damaged a lot to America and the West. Death to America, that also includes Canada. Now, I'm not going to go on about this, Rob, but the fact is, Mark Carney, in my opinion, his stock went up. You're right. This is politics, and we have a big trade discussion coming up very soon. And in my opinion, Rob, his stock went up tenfold. You don't think Trump heard about this? Of course he did. So all those voters, elbows up, people, you ain't going to like it, but I agree with Mark Carney, and I'm telling you, he's made a few decisions that is starting to, I keep an open mind, Rob, when it comes to politics. I really do. He did not get my vote, but I'm warming up to him a lot better. This was a major decision, in my opinion. Thanks for taking my call. Cheers.
Okay. I never really did nail you down if you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place, but it sounds like you think he is. So I'll make that assumption on your behalf. Dave in Halifax, staying in Nova Scotia at 1-833-668-2577 on Talkback today. Let's go to Keith up next. Hello, Keith.
Yeah. Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking my call. The first one about Donald Trump making the world a safer place. I don't think that's probably, in my opinion, I don't think he's really making the world a safer place by going in and starting a conflict with Iran, and Israel's involved as well. I think now that he's in there, what is the plan to get out? That's a question I would have as well.
Very good question. Very good question.
Yeah. What's the old cliche, what's your exit plan? It doesn't seem like right now, maybe it's too early, but it doesn't seem like now, he doesn't have an exit plan. Maybe it's just because they just got in there. And I thought that Donald Trump had said that they obliterated all the nuclear capacity for making enrichment,
a nuclear weapon,
uranium,
with the last strike, right? With the last strike.
Yeah.
Yes. Good
so
point.
What happened to that? Where'd that go?
All right.
If they had obliterated everything, why would you think that's a good idea to go in there? And I just think from the little bit that I've been reading, and some of the experts, the military, are saying that you can suppress a country with naval and air power. But in order to have a regime change or that sort of thing, you may have to send guys in there.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
And look what a disaster the United States had in Afghanistan doing that. What was that, 20 years?
20 years, yeah. And Iraq, for that matter.
Yeah, so it may come down to doing that. And I thought Donald Trump...
So let me ask you, just because we're a little tight on time here, let me ask you, Mark Carney says he supports these actions. Mm-hmm. He said it in a statement. He said it in a speech. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, like the previous caller mentioned, that Mark Carney has to really watch himself with Donald Trump. And I think he probably, in his mind, made the good political move, keeping on Trump's good side rather than saying, I think it's a bad idea, because I don't think that would really, Mr. Trump would not like that.
All right. Thank you for your call. 1-833-668-2577. Is Trump making the world a safer place with these actions, a more dangerous place? And Mark Carney says he supports the Trump decision to attack Iran. What do you think about that stance from the Canadian Prime Minister? Is that a wise move, a smart move? 1-833-668-2577. It's Talkback to start the week. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place, a more dangerous place? Mark Carney says he supports Trump's actions in Iran. Do you agree with that stance? It's Talkback today. Mike is in Cambridge. Let's go to Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi, Mike. What's your opinion?
No, Carney should have not supported Trump. If he wanted to say anything, he could say that his thoughts and prayers is with the Iranian people and just leave it.
All right. Why do you believe that? What do you think is his mistake?
Well, I mean, Trump, if you look and to see what Trump has done in the last year, sinking ships off of Venezuela, kidnapping the Venezuelan president, starving the people in Cuba. If that was any other country, nobody would stand for it. Trump is way off board.
Way off board. Do you think he's making the world a more dangerous place?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
Well, I mean, look at all the dangerous things that he has done, and just not safe. I mean, the terrorists could be coming to the U.S. and bomb a few places in retaliation. So it's just not good. Just because you don't like what a country is doing, it does not give you the right to go and bomb them.
All right. How about this just as a counter argument, okay? And you tell me what you think of this. It's good that Maduro is gone and he's not the dictator of Venezuela anymore, and the people of Venezuela will be better off for that. The Cuban regime has been oppressing the people of Cuba since the revolution in 1959. It's never had an election. It jails its political opponents. There's no free speech. There's no media. And the sooner there's change there, the better. And the world is better off, let alone just the people in Iran with the Ayatollah gone. What do you think about that?
Okay, what gives one person the absolute right to say what is good and what is bad?
Well, I don't think it's just one person who would say that. I don't think it's just one person who would say that.
Yeah, but all we're getting is what the mainstream media tells us. Nobody really knows what the truth is, and if Trump came into our country and kidnap our prime minister, we'd be absolutely furious.
Oh, I suspect so.
Right. So every country should decide on their own what the people want. I mean, if the people do not like it, they can have a civil war. They can do whatever they want. But to have another country to come in and dictate how they're going to end.
I would say, sir, with all due respect, sir, in Iran, they tried to do that multiple times. Thousands, tens of thousands took to the streets to express their dissatisfaction and their desire to see a change in Iran. And what did the regime in that country do to them?
Right, but I mean, if the people do not like it, I mean...
No, answer the question. Answer my question. What did it do to them?
Do it to the people?
Yeah. It shot them dead in the street. Right?
Yeah. Now,
you say, well, you can rise up, you can rise up, you can rise up. Well, they try to rise up.
And
they get more oppression and more violence. Okay, thank you. All right. You think Donald Trump is making the world a more dangerous place? Fair enough, and that it was a mistake for Mark Carney to support the action. You're not alone in thinking that, sir. 1-833-668-2577. Some people think Donald Trump's the most dangerous person in the world. The war in Iran, the biggest story in the world. That's our focus today, and Trump's foreign policy, his actions abroad. Is he making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? Mark Carney says he supports Trump's actions in Iran. What do you think of that? 1-833-668-2577 to have your say on Talkback. 3 lines available. Joseph is in Edmonton today. Hello, Joseph.
Hi, sir.
Yes, hello, Joseph. What's your opinion?
Yeah, no, I think Mr. Carney needs to make up his mind. I mean, if he got his sign at the green grocer down, then he needs to keep it down and to just focus on what he wants to do. Just to stop playing to the gallery of one, and Trump's absolutely not making the world a safer place. He didn't stand for election on this. He stood by not getting involved in foreign wars, and now he's gone and made a false pretext to go and bomb a country. And we all know what happened the last time that happened. It took them 20 years to get out of it. And just one other point to your earlier question around asking whether what happened to the people that went on the streets and protested and got shot. I mean, who made the U.S. the policemen of the world? They're not the responsible. They should have done that when the Saudis went into Yemen and murdered Houthis, or Darfur, or Tiananmen Square a few years back. So where's this moral equivalency in doing these kind of things?
All right, fair enough. You think that he's making the world a more dangerous place?
He is destroying the world. It's a scorched earth policy.
He's destroying the world.
Just to get away from his pedophilic past. That is all he's doing.
You think this is a distraction from the Epstein files, sir? You believe that?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
wag the dog action?
Sorry?
A wag the dog?
Yeah, wag the dog. That's exactly the case. Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it, sir.
Okay. Now, if I could, I'm just a little bit unclear as to why you think Mark Carney is in the wrong in supporting this. What is it about the stance that he has taken that you disagree with?
I mean, he said the other day that, okay, when you see something that is morally wrong, you need the middle powers just need to stand up and put their sign down. You don't just put up the sign just to make sure that, okay, you're playing to the gallery of one person. The French did it during the Iraq War. They said that they wouldn't get involved in it, and everybody except, I mean, do we want to become America's poodle again, just like Britain became the last time when they went into a false war?
All right,
we are not America's poodle, right?
Not America's poodle. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comment today and having your say on Talkback. Let's go to Rick is in Halifax today. Hello, Rick.
How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm very good, Rick. Thank you. What's your opinion? Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place, a more dangerous place? What do you think about Mark Carney supporting these actions?
Well, first of all, I'd like to reiterate that I can't believe there's that many narrow-minded listeners that for their disdain for Trump would rather see a terrorist organization have a nuclear bomb. That just baffles me to no extent. And Donald Trump is definitely making the world a better place today. He is strategically taking these guys out because they've lied for 47 years. They've never told the truth. They've never met any targets. They've never done anything that they said they would do. Okay? Secondly, by taking them out, the drones that are being used against Ukraine are going to dry up. China's oil supply is drying up. It's a strategic move, and anybody can't see that. They're really I don't know what's wrong with them. Maybe they have Trump derangement syndrome. I think that's the only thing that I can say.
Okay, again, Mark Carney says he supports these actions. What do you think about the Prime Minister taking that stance?
I don't like the Prime Minister, but it's the right stance. He's absolutely right in what he's saying.
Okay, thank you. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. You hear it there, two diametrically opposed views on the same situation, perhaps evidence of how complex it is. But we have lines available if you would like to share your opinion on the biggest news story in the world. Lee is in Calgary. Thanks for calling, Lee. You're up next.
Good morning, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Lee. What do you think?
You know, it's interesting, as far as President Trump goes, he might not be making it a safer place, but one thing he is doing, President Trump is a man of action. We've all noticed that now. He's been back in power for a year, and he's got more stuff on the go globally than any president ahead of him, even in his first term in the last probably 50 years. Like, when he talks, people listen, and that's, whether they agree with him or not. I would challenge anybody to tell me who 3 European leaders are right now, because they don't say anything ever. But they know who President Trump is, right? Because he comes out, he gets things done. Like, whether we agree with it or not, he's getting things done. So in a way of making it say, like, if he says he's going to do something, people are going to at least hear it, right? They're not going to slough it off, right? As far as Prime Minister Carney agreeing with his stance, I don't think he really has a choice, right? We have a lot of, and this might be a better question. This might be a better question for people from the Middle East or from Iran that live in Canada or the United States. This is a question they should be answering, because we haven't seen with our own eyes the tyranny, the damage, everything that's happened over there during those years with the Ayatollah. Now,
right, but when you say he doesn't really have much choice, what do you mean by that? With Mr.
Because
Carney?
I believe I think Mr. Carney has to speak for Iranian Canadians in supporting the bringing down of that regime over there, and I think that's the single biggest reason he did. Right. And not only that, it's got to be to, not just be on the opposite side of the card of the United States every chance he gets, because sooner or later that's going to come back to bite us. That's really all I have to say on that.
All right. Thank you, Lee. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available. Lots of time to take your opinion. Iran is in focus today, and Donald Trump's foreign policy. Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place? Is he making the world a more dangerous place? One of the columns in one of the papers today calls him a warmonger. Another says he's the most dangerous man on the planet because of these actions. Actions that Mark Carney says he supports. What do you think of that stance from the Canadian Prime Minister? He supports Donald Trump using such force in Iran. 1-833-668-2577, and have your say on Talkback today on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's go to Zed in Calgary up next on Talkback. Hi, Zed.
Rob.
Hey, how are you? Very good.
Doing fabulous. Thanks for asking.
That's good.
You mentioned about Mark's opinion about supporting the war in Iran. I personally think it's the worst decision ever. And the reason behind it, first of all, Mark, as we all know, some people agree with it, some people don't. He's an intelligent guy. It's not like he's unintelligent. The thing that I'm always baffled by is the fact that he's going along with all due respect to Mark, he's going along with a deranged orange monkey in the United States that has no actual business running a country. Let's be honest with reality here. Iran used to actually be a democracy way, way back. Who deposed that democracy? It was the CIA in America. This is historical fact. It's a proven fact. It's the reality. The Shah was introduced after the democracy was brought in, and the people of Iran deposed that Shah, the dynasty, because of the brutalities inflicted on the Iranian people. The people didn't want the Shah. They didn't want the Islamic Revolution Guard, whatever the heck they have now. They wanted a democracy. But the reality of the situation is, even a democracy was undermined by the CIA and the American government and the people that wanted to take control of that country. Let's also be factually true here. Same thing happened in Cuba. same thing happened in Venezuela. Whenever a country does well for itself and its people, the American government decides to, you know what, we want to be part of it. And if you don't let us, we're going to depose you. We're going to take your resources. We're going to cause some mayhem. We're going to cause some infighting. We're going to cause trouble for you. The people suffer without a shadow of a doubt. And it's not fair for the people to suffer in any way, shape, or form. I feel bad for the people. I feel bad for the Iranian people. But the reality situation is, right now in this war, in the first days of the war, who blew up a school of little girls? It was the American and Israeli Joint Air Force that literally shot and blew up a school. This is confirmed fact. What did little girls do to unfortunately have to be unalived by an airstrike? Was a legitimate target to attack them? And then you have Trump, and then you have Netanyahu. Yeah, and then you have Trump and Netanyahu saying, "Oh, we're the most moral army in the world. We would never unalive civilians. We would never target civilians." But you guys targeted a school on day one and killed little kids. You unalived little kids for what? What was the purpose of that? That's going to instill, revolutionary sentiment in the people to fight back against the government. That's going to instill more rage against these people that are attacking them, who just want to be left alone. And the people are suffering, yes. The Iranian government is causing strife for the people. Sure, they're suppressing the protests. But if you actually go and see the protests in Iran, with all due respect, there's actually news channels out there that actually go to Iranian protesters in Iran and ask them, what are you protesting for? And the number one reason is we are struggling. We are protesting for the struggles we're going through, not from the government, but the struggles we're going through. And who's imposing those struggles upon them? All the sanctions are being put through. Why are they being put through these sanctions?
Sounding very apologetic for the regime, I must say. Very apologetic for a tyrannical regime that has perpetrated terror attacks either on its own or through proxies all over the world, sir, with all due respect. Okay, thank you. But you've had your say. No, you've had your say. There are other callers who have other opinions. Zed, thank you for your call. Christine in Kitchener. Christine, thank you, Christine.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Christine. Yeah, I hear you just fine. What's your opinion?
Well, my opinion on Mr. Carney, I think that when he said that he was supporting what Donald Trump was doing was before we realized that he didn't even have Congress's permission. He didn't go in and get the backing of his own country. He just did what he wanted. I think Mr. Carney was under the assumption that if he's going to attack another country, he had the backing of his country. And we're finding out now that Mr. Trump really didn't have any backing from his country. They're all up in arms over there now, wondering why is he doing this? But I mean, if there is nuclear weapons, then I don't disagree either. But they're saying that if you listen to CNN, they're saying, well, he said that they were abolished. There was no way. They got rid of all the nuclear arms. And then he comes back and says, oh no, but they were very close. So, I think in Mr. Carney's defense that he assumed, that his country was backing him.
I highly doubt that. I'm sure the Prime Minister was briefed on exactly how this happened and whether there was congressional approval or not. Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is what it said in his statement, and this is what he said during his event in Mumbai during his trip to India. Quote, Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security.
And again, then he still has to be a diplomat about everything, right? He can't just hate the state, like your other caller said. I still think Mr. Carney did the right thing, but do we know with Mr. Trump doing the right thing? Probably not.
All right. Thank you.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Back to our phone calls. Emmanuel in Calgary is up next. Hello, Emmanuel. Thanks for calling, Emmanuel.
Hello, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Do you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? What do you think about Mark Carney backing Trump on this?
Well, I think Mark Carney has to be, diplomatic in every way he can, understanding that he has to play both sides, right? But I think diplomatically, he has to sound, in favor of Trump doing it. But I think what it meant was, he's not in support of Iran owning a nuclear weapon, which we quite all understand. But we know the war that this guy is perpetrating with Israel has nothing to do with the regime. It's all about the oil, right? So we all know it. You know, the U.S. just wants to gain control of the world in every way they can. So I believe, you know, he has to sound diplomatic in a way just to be able to come. But, you know, coming out and siding Trump, I don't think that's a good idea. I would have, you know, preferred that he was kind of neutral in his comments rather than saying, yeah, because then, you know, you're putting Canadian at risk as well, right? So if the head of the country say, okay, well, we support the U.S. in doing it, because over time, Canada has been, you know, kind of neutral, you know, in events like this, that mostly the U.S. have initiated, right? So I appreciate what he said, but he has to play, you know, a little bit of neutrality so that we don't put Canadians at risk. Yeah.
Right, but again, you don't think this is about getting rid of a terrible dictator and, you know, an evil tyrant. You think it's about trying to capture oil reserves?
I think it is. I think it has nothing to do with the regime. Otherwise, where is Russia? What has it done about Russia? You know, Russia has killed almost as much as the opposition as they claim Iran has, or any other country has, or Cuba, or Venezuela, right? So what has it done about Russia? So he's just trying to pick on countries that he feels are very weak. You know, Trump is a very weak person, but he tends to use the military as a way to deflect and, you know, show strength and make people bow down, you know, and say, okay, well, yeah, we got to listen to this guy. Nobody has to listen to him. The way he runs the country right now, most people are displeased with that, or dissatisfied with that, right? But nobody's calling for a regime change in America, right? So he should let people. I know the Islamic stuff.
Well, probably half the country in the United States is actually probably calling for regime change in America. Absolutely. Let's face it; it's a very, you know, it's a very divided country. Okay, thank you for your call. I'm not going to bring anybody on right now because we're very, very tight on time. We'd only have about 35 seconds, and you deserve more time than that. It's been a very busy first hour, as you can imagine. It's such an enormous news story. It's history making, really, with the death of the Ayatollah here, early days in this war. Love your take on it. Right after the news, however, we'll have to pick it up after the news and talk about Iran and Donald Trump's foreign policy. Is he making the world a safer place, a more dangerous place? Mark Carney backing Trump to the surprise of some. What do you think about it? Hour number 2 of Talkback, just ahead after the latest breaking news. This is News Radio. Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. Iran is in focus today, and Donald Trump's foreign policy. Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place? Is Donald Trump making the world a more dangerous place? Prime Minister Mark Carney says he supports Trump's actions in Iran. What do you think of the stance from the Canadian Prime Minister? Have your say. 1-833-668-2577. One of the things to watch for in the coming days and weeks will be how this action in Iran goes over with hardcore Trump supporters, the MAGA movement. Part of the reason people voted for Donald Trump is that he promised the United States would be America first. It wouldn't get involved in so-called forever wars. That Americans were sick and tired of forever wars after Iraq and Afghanistan. How is MAGA going to view this war in Iran? Pete Hegseth, the United States Secretary of Defense, or the self-described Secretary of War, was part of a briefing at the Pentagon today. He promised this wasn't going to turn into a forever war. Let's listen to clip 1 of Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon today.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it. The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser-focused. Destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons. We're hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. With every passing day, our capabilities get stronger and Iran's get weaker. We set the terms of this war from start to finish. Our ambitions are not utopian. They are realistic, scoped to our interests and the defense of our people and our allies. Speaking of people, we hope the Iranian people take advantage of this incredible opportunity. President Trump has been clear, now is your time. To Iranian security forces, choose wisely. President Trump has also been clear about your fate in either direction. To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president.
That's the U.S. Secretary of Defense, former weekend show host on Fox News, Pete Hegseth. 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. 4 or 5 lines available there for you. I'd love to hear from you. Kali in Calgary. Kali.
How are you doing, sir? Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. What's your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, like world is it's not safe anymore. It's as the new generation, especially Generation X, Y, they don't want to see like all of these old, rigid, stubborn people just fighting each other like toddlers. But the main thing is that if you look at the cause of the attack, so they're telling the world that because they want to get rid of, because Iran is a very rigid, very stubborn regime, and because they're gonna get nukes very soon, and then it's gonna be a threat to the Western world. But if you look at the cause of it, a cause of it, what other causes are, it seems it's because of the wish of Israel, because Israel, has a lot of beef against Iran, and Iran has a lot of beef against Israel. It's just because the biggest conflict is Gaza, which is somehow.
Yeah, well, I mean, Iran has said Iran has always delegitimized Israel, doesn't think Israel has a right to exist, and is about to wipe it off the face of the earth, sir. If you were in Israel, you'd have an issue with a country like that as well, wouldn't you?
So we understand that, we're not supporting that. But at the same time, if you are working with one evil and you're going to eliminate another evil, it doesn't make any sense either. Because that evil is on your side. So that means now you can create all of these excuses and telling the world, we're getting rid of this evil because this evil told us that, this evil, the other evil should be eliminated. So the problem is it's not ethical. It's not moral. It's not it's more interest based. So basically, when we talk about politics should be on a principle. Same thing, Mr. Carney, whatever he has said, so what is called spontaneously. So he's trying to please U.S. So he should understand that the Arctic is in danger, not because of the Russian after 76 years of whatever their contract is between U.S. and Europe. It's not because the Russia is going to attack them. Now the U.S. is telling them that he's going to get the Arctic. So somehow it's a very complicated situation. It's not something we can say that.
You want a principled stand. Do you think Mr. Carney, in supporting this U.S. action in Iran, has taken a principled stand?
No, it's not principled. It's based on. It's based on interest. It's not a principled stand.
It's based on interest.
If you look at the principled stand, then you can say that, oh yes, if they wanted to eliminate that evil, then they should also talk about other evils. And he was sitting in a country who's doing the same atrocities in Kashmir, and killing, extrajudicial killing is happening in that country. They're doing lots of human rights violations in their country. It's the same thing. So you can't just say that because that person is on our side.
Gotcha. Thank you. Gonna run. Get to some other calls as we make our way, and welcome to it, hour number 2 of Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Do you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place, or is Donald Trump making the world a more dangerous place? Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney, says he supports Trump's actions in Iran. What do you think of the stance from the Canadian Prime Minister backing Trump in the move on Iran? 1-833-668-2577. Al is up next in Calgary. Thanks for calling, Al.
Morning, Rob. Hope all's good.
Yeah, everything is good. Yeah. What's your opinion?
Right on. So, well, first of all, a country at war doesn't have to have elections, right? I wonder if this might have anything to do with that. With the midterms coming up, could be another famous Trump deflection. Your thought on that?
Well, there are lots of competing narratives out here that this isn't just what it is. You know, as we heard from Pete Hegseth, surgical strike. One caller suggested this is a wag the dog to take heat off of Trump and the Epstein files. Another said it's a play for oil. Iran is the third, I believe, in the world's oil reserves. It's a play for oil, more control over oil the way Venezuela was. And you're saying, what, do you think it's a way to manipulate the midterm elections?
It could be a deflection, but also I totally agree with the oil front. Venezuela, Iran for sure. Is Trump a scary guy? Well, I think he wants to rule. He wants to rule the world, and he kind of is getting his way as we speak. Like, why isn't he going into North Korea? Why isn't he going into Russia? These are all evil dictators who are suppressing their people. And now Jared Kushner has been put in charge of rebuilding the Gaza Strip in Palestine. Like, this is all just a big power grab, it appears to be, like looking from the outside in and putting the pieces together.
But is it making, to the question today, is it making the world a more dangerous place?
I think it is. Do you not think that when we took in all these refugees from Gaza, etc., that some of them couldn't have maybe been Hezbollah or Hamas soldiers? They come here with no ID or anything else. We don't vet them really well. Is there sleeper cells awake today in North America that this could turn them on? You have to ask yourself.
Certainly, that's one of the concerns. That's one of the concerns. It's been expressed in the news media since Saturday, repeatedly.
Yeah. It just, do I think the world's a safer place today? No, not at all. Did I ever think in my lifetime that, we, Canada, we're kind of almost feeling threatened by our American friends, neighbors, family? Never before, but now, we have to look over our shoulder.
All right. What do you think about Mr. Carney's statement backing the United States in this action and using largely the same talking points?
I've got kind of mixed emotions on that one. I kind of feel like Carney, there is a lot of Iranian Canadians here who are in Canada because of that regime. And I think he has to support these people who are Canadians or becoming Canadians. So I can't knock him for saying that. And it's true, it's a potential nuclear power that could be devastating to everyone within missile range, right? Like,
Sure.
That's my opinion on it. But the midterms are really, top of mind. He's losing in many states right now. Like some numbers I saw just last week, what's happening in Texas. It's like a 40% swing in support for the Democrats, which you'd never see in Texas. With their polling on the midterms. So I don't know. Maybe that could have something to do with
orchestrate maybe a rally around. A rally around the flag sort of sentiment. Rah rah rah. Americans love a winner, will never tolerate a loser. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Ryan is up next in Calgary. Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Rob. How's it going? Hey, Rob.
Very good. Ryan, thank you. What's your opinion?
Called in Friday, and yeah, it's crap show come Monday. Holy crap, yeah. It's a lot dangerous place with that guy in place.
Why do you say that?
Well, I thought he was going to be, before he got elected, he was saying he wasn't going to be the world police and all this and world peace. And I thought he was going to talk to Putin more, North Korea, and none of this invading countries and bombing everybody. Like, it's just crazy. I think we're about to see Godzilla or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
Where we're
Well,
going.
let's not hope for that. But you feel as though this is not in keeping with the Trump brand, because this is the conversation I gather that is happening in American MAGA circles. Well, what happened to MAGA and America First?
Yeah,
and
make
no
America
more forever
great.
wars.
Yeah, make America great, not like overseas. Like, this is crazy.
It's crazy. Okay.
And I got to say
Well,
one more
if it-
thing on the opinion.
Yes.
I saw this on the news the other day. It only happens in Canada and America. Hello?
What only happens in Canada and America? What do you mean? What are you talking
where
about?
we're switching decisions. Like, we used to be all strong. Now we're like, I don't know how we think about America or Alberta. Let's switch. Like, you don't see that in France. Like, I don't know how I feel about France today. Like, we got to get strong and, like, get with the program and vote if we want a
Well, maybe
war.
that's a rant for another
where
day.
the money's going.
I think that's a rant for another day. Thank you. 1-833-668-2577. It's the biggest news story in the world. Trump's actions along with Israel on Iran. And Mark Carney says he's behind it. He backs it. He supports it. Thinks it's the right decision. Have your say, please. 1-833-668-2577 and join the discussion on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Is Donald Trump making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place? What do you think of Mark Carney's support for Trump's actions in Iran? Let's go to Barb up next in Calgary. Thank you for calling, Barb.
Hi. Well,
Hi,
first
Barb.
of all, hi. I think I usually don't agree with anything that our Liberal government is doing, but I have to say I am pleased that he is in agreement with this because, first of all, I find it interesting that so many Canadians feel like Donald Trump is a dictator and that he makes all these decisions by himself. It's the whole Republican Party that has to agree with this. It's not just one person. And, of course, we hear him all the time, so everybody just seems to think that. And I also do not believe that the whole Republican Party would agree to be bombing Iran just so that they could keep their position. I guess I have more faith in humans than to believe that would ever be the case. And secondly,
Well, I think you're putting a lot of faith in the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, to think that.
Well, maybe I am, but at the same time, I just don't believe that they would start a war like this just for the purpose of keeping their position. I just don't believe that. Secondly, I'm really happy that this has happened because those people have been under a tyrannical government since 1979, and they have been, as if anyone's keeping up with the news, which I think most people are, they've been killing the people who are protesting in the streets, blinding them, killing them, and this was just going to continue. And I also think that Israel is, they know way more about what's going on when it comes to that country than we would even know here in Canada. And they know that they have been working on, making nuclear war and nuclear bombs. And so I feel that, they took the hit first because they needed to get rid of those main leaders. But notice that the war's still going on. So there's still many people that are for, fighting in Iran, not the regular people who live there, because they're rejoicing. They're rejoicing in the streets. Like they're so happy. They're flying, Israeli flags because they're thrilled and they're thankful to the U.S. for doing this. And so I just want to say I'm happy that Carney is backing it. And I can't imagine if he wasn't, I would be wondering why he wouldn't be backing it.
All right. Thank you for your call. I didn't see a lot of Israel flags being waved when I was watching some of the news coverage of the rallies that were taking place in Canada, for example. There were rallies in Halifax. There was one in Edmonton. There was one in Richmond Hill, north of Toronto, big Iranian community there. Lots of Iranian flags being waved and lots of happy people. You're absolutely right there. Thrilled that this has finally happened in their country. Etonem in Calgary. Etonem, hi there. Etonem.
Yes, how are you, Rob?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. But I'm going to need you to hang on the line, okay, Etonem, because we're a little tight on time. I want to bring people right up to date on all the latest breaking news. You hang on. I'll bring you back right after the latest breaking news, and we'll get your opinion on what is happening in the world. And this is the biggest story in the world, war in Iran. I'm Rob Snow. This is Talkback. This is News Radio. Iran, our focus today, whether you think Donald Trump is making the world a safer place or a more dangerous place. Your thoughts on Mark Carney backing Trump in this action in Iran, 1-833-668-2577. Etonem, very patient. Thank you for waiting, Etonem. You're on the air with us. What's your opinion?
My opinion is very simple, Rob. I want to pray in Jesus' name that the Holy Spirit will begin to convict Western leaders of their wickedness and their hypocrisy towards mankind. That's what I pray, and that's what I'm asking. That's my opinion. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Where are we going next? Oh, let's have a little sip of the tea. Relax from that one. All right. Red Rose, made in Canada, you know. Only in Canada. Orville, North Battleford, Saskatchewan. North Battleford. Hello, Orville.
Hi there. Good afternoon.
Hi, Orville.
And,
yeah, hi there, Orville.
I'm hoping I'm in good coverage area.
You sound fine, Orville. Let's get right to it here. Yep.
Yes, I fully support what Mr. Trump is doing, trying to bring stability to the Middle East. Along with that comes good business trading procedures, protocols, which is required by all countries so we can do business, properly export oil, plus other things. And fully support Prime Minister Carney for supporting Mr. Trump.
Okay. Some people have said Donald Trump is making the world a much more dangerous place with an action like this. Orville, what do you think about that?
Well, with the current circumstances, we've got Iran, which has supplied terrorist organizations in the area with all kinds of weapons to fight back with. Yeah, it is a little. I'd have to say it is a little bit dangerous right now. But let's allow Mr. Trump to have his 4 weeks or 5 weeks to do the proper procedures to clear out these dangerous spots, and I believe this area will be a lot more safer down the road.
All right, and you think Mark Carney has done the right thing in backing this action?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right.
Great leadership.
Yes. Okay, Orville. Thank you. In North Battleford, Saskatchewan today. Rob is in Calgary. Thanks for calling, Rob. Up next on Talkback.
Hi, Rob. How's it going?
Yeah, very good, Rob. What's your opinion?
It had to be done. I mean,
had to be
Iran's been attacking everybody, their people, everybody in the region. They're just a terrorist organization. The regime, not the people. And the one caller that tried to say Iran's evil and Israel's another evil because Gaza's been destroyed, but Gaza would never have been destroyed. It'd still be standing if it weren't for Iran sending people in to kidnap and start a war there. I mean, Iran's just been destabilizing everything.
Okay, and you think the Prime Minister is right in backing this action?
Absolutely.
He's getting a lot of heck for that, yeah. That he was too quick off the mark. Maybe didn't think it through entirely. May live to regret his words.
No, there's
no
reason to regret it.
No reason to regret it. Okay, thank you. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available there for you right now. Let's play a couple of more of these Pete Hegseth clips. He was part of a briefing today at the Pentagon. This is the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, who maintained this is not going to be an endless war. This is not a forever war. Stop that about that forever war. He says the administration has clear goals here. He says, destroy the Iranian military, make sure it can never have a nuclear weapon, encourage the Iranian population to rise up, take control of their government. Everything we heard from Trump this weekend. And Trump has maintained, he said it again today, he believes this phase of the war will last 4 to 5 weeks. If it takes longer, it takes longer. He also warned again that there could be more American casualties. But Mr. Hegseth was also asked, what about boots on the ground? Are there going to be American boots on the ground? Will there be troops in Iran, or is this going to be largely an air campaign? Let's listen to that. Hegseth 2, please.
Are there currently any American boots on the ground in Iran?
No, but we're not going to go into the exercise of what we will or will not do. I think it's one of those fallacies for a long time that this department or presidents or others should tell the American people this, and our enemies, by the way, here's exactly what we'll do. Here's exactly how long we'll go. Here's exactly how far we'll go. Here's what we're willing to do and not do. It's foolishness. And so President Trump ensures that our enemies understand we'll go as far as we need to go to advance American interests. But we're not dumb about it. You don't have to roll 200,000 people in there and stay for 20 years. We've proven that you can achieve objectives that advance American interests without being foolish about it. Now, will we be bold about it? Are we willing to be decisive about it? Do we put months and months of planning into what kind of effects we want to achieve? Absolutely. But going forward, why in the world would we tell you, the enemy, anybody, what we will or will not do in pursuit of an objective? We fight to win.
Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War at the Pentagon today. I'm Rob Snow. This is Talkback, 1-833-668-2577. Have your say. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
To Halifax we go. Doug is in Halifax. Hi, Doug. Thanks for calling Talkback. Yeah, good to hear from you.
Glad to hear you.
On Donald Trump, sir, is he making the world a more dangerous place or a safer place?
I think he's making it a safer place. I can't believe some of the comments I'm hearing from some of the people here that call in. Your second or third last call, they're talking about praying for what the Westerns have done and stuff like that. But imagine now, geography-wise, thank God the Americans are on our border, because if it was somewhere else like Iran or anywhere else like that, where would we be today? I don't know. It's scary. As far as Carney goes, yeah, I think he had to, I think he did the right thing by acknowledging that the Americans, he thought the Americans were doing the right thing, and I think Pauliev said the same thing, didn't he? I'm not sure with that, but I thought he did.
Pauliev was there with a very forceful statement. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name?
In support of this action.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I think he's doing a good job, and keep it up for as long as we can get her done.
Keep it up and get her done. All right. Okay. Is he making the world a more dangerous place? Is he making the world a safer place? That's what we've been asking on Talkback. Thank you for your call from Halifax today, Doug. It's Iran now. Not long ago, it was Venezuela. I mean, there's no doubt his administration is putting the screws to Cuba, hoping for a change in government there. It wasn't that long ago. Everyone was on edge about Greenland. Oh, my gosh, is there going to be a U.S. invasion of Greenland? We've done shows here before. People have brought it up today. How they're worried about America threatening our sovereignty, the territorial sovereignty of Canada. A lot of people thought Trump would be isolationist, America first. He vowed he wouldn't get involved in forever wars. Claims this is only going to take 4 to 5 weeks, and that it's in not only America's interest, but the world's interest. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. Hard not to ignore the people in the streets, like all over Canada, all over the United States, how happy they are. Iranian Canadians, Iranian Americans who maybe they fled after the revolution in 79. They're so happy to finally see this come to pass, and that they're thrilled that the Americans took the action that they did. Share your thoughts, please. 1-833-668-2577. Floyd is in Calgary. Hello, Floyd. Hi, Floyd.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Floyd. Good to hear from you. What's your opinion, please?
I think it's mostly distraction.
A distraction. Okay, you're not the first to say that. What's he distracting from?
He's still a crook, the Epstein files there is pretty big.
Epstein files?
Distraction from that. Yeah, I think so. And I think, this 5 weeks, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be could be a forever war too. So I think, the distraction is the main thing, I think.
That the Trump administration is in so much trouble with the Epstein files, people around him, Lutnick, whatever, maybe even himself. That
he himself.
That's why he did this.
I'm sure that's one of the main reasons is just to distract us from everything. Because they could have attacked Iran a long time ago, but they didn't. They just all of a sudden, went crazy and started attacking him. Okay. All right.
Okay. Yep. You're not the first to suggest that today. It's a distraction. It's a classic, wag the dog. It would be the term in politics. Wag the dog. Look over here. Big distraction. Just one more clip of Pete Hegseth from this Pentagon briefing today. He was asked about this 4-week timeline. He snapped at the news reporter. Here's how he handled that.
This is not a so-called regime change war.
No,
but the
clip
regime
3, please. Hegseth 3, please.
The question about 4 weeks. It's the typical NBC sort of gotcha type question. President Trump has all the latitude in the world to talk about how long it may or may not take. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It could move up. It could move back. We're going to execute at his command the objectives we've set out to achieve. And what he has shown an ability to do that other presidents can't quite seem to have the aperture to do. Well, Joe Biden didn't even know what he was doing, is to look for opportunities and off-ramps and escalations for the United States that creates new opportunities to execute what we need on our own timeline. So you can play games about 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He has all the latitude, and I'm glad he does, because there's no better communicator than our president expressing those things. I've been in meetings with the president for the last 2.5 days. We know exactly where his headspace is, and he will communicate as he should exactly what he would like, and we will follow those orders. And I think everything he said on that is right down the middle.
Okay. Could be 4 weeks, could be 5 weeks, could be longer, could be shorter, could be escalated, could be off ramps. Try and follow along. But is he making the world a safer place? 1-833-668-2577. And is Carney right in backing this? This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
I should say the Iran news really overshadowed, I have to say, Prime Minister's trip to Italy. Normally that would have been the big story in the Canadian political news media. Big trip. Big change in direction in the Canada-India relationship under Carney compared to Trudeau. Some deals were signed, more deals to be signed. But then this news broke on Saturday about the U.S. and Israel attacking Iran, and that just took over the whole news cycle. And the Prime Minister's office issued a statement saying Canada's position remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East, as one of the world's worst human rights records, and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. So he backs the Trump action, the U.S. action in Iran. And he is getting some pushback from that, I must say. Let's ask our callers about it. Earl is up next. Hello, Earl.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Earl. What's your opinion?
I think we've been watching what Iran has done for over 4 decades, similar to what Russia has strung along. So I think it's working towards a safer place. I think Trump is doing the right thing. Unfortunately, he doesn't have an operating style that many people can like, but if you look at the outcomes are quite historic. So between Venezuela, a country that was ruined by the socialist communists that took over and didn't let the people have their say, Cuba's been that way for over 5 decades, and Iran has strung things along. So I think for the people of Iran, it's great. In the Middle East, if you look at the grouping of Dubai and Bahrain and UAE, I think Iran's time has come to free its people.
All right. And I would imagine, given what you said, you think Mr. Carney's on the right track with the statement that he made then in India.
As hard as it is for a Calgarian to say that I agree with the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, this one, he's doing the right thing. And yes, we should support people that rise up. I heard some of your callers talk about how terrible it is. If the people don't like it, they should rise up. Well, if you had that happen in Canada and you had over 20,000 protesters murdered, thrown in jail, you might think differently about oppression. So I think they're on the right track, and I think as much as distasteful as Trump can be to many people, if you look at the outcomes, there's a lot of rebalancing in the world right now that it's not what people expected, but everything they could have wanted. And another 2 years from now, I think we're going to be in a lot better place.
All right. Thank you for your call, Earl. Let's take Linda. We only have about a minute left, though. Linda in southern Alberta. Hello, Linda.
Hello. Yes. I am not aware that Congress got support or gave him support for this. So for me, I think Trump is working on his own best interests. And as far as Carney goes, I wish Carney would have said, we're watching it closely and, been more neutral.
Been more neutral. All right. Maybe he was premature. And you don't like the fact that this didn't get congressional approval in the United States. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Very good. Thank you for all your calls. Very, very busy Talkback today. Appreciate all of your opinions, even though with not a lot of unanimous opinions, a lot of divergent opinions on this one today. 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow with another topic and more of your phone calls. And until then, the latest breaking news. This has been Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow, and this is News Radio.